Welcome to Computopedia, the channel where we learn computer science. Now we're going to learn about data manipulation language, which is select, insert, update, and delete. For your information, this video is part of set database learning, and the database learning is to be used in Universitas Gadjah Mada and was taught by me, Zikri Fudori. So without further ado, let's get into it. For all of the examples in today's video, we're going to use the classic models databases, and you can download it in this link, which is sukm.id/classic models. Now we're going to learn about the basic theory itself in the data manipulation language. The data manipulation language, or DML for short, is a language by which users access and manipulate data. The data manipulation language refers to retrieval, insertion, deletion, and modification of data or information stored in the database itself. The basic goal is to attain efficient human interaction with the system. So, just like a language, you want to interact from one entities to another entities, for human to the system, and we want to do some information exchange. That's why we use this language. Especially in MySQL, we're going to provide some command to modify its table, and those commands are select, insert, update, and delete. Now let's get into select first. The select statement retrieves the data from one or more tables, so we can get the data from one or more tables. A table consists of rows and columns, just like a spreadsheet. So if you already familiar with, for example, Microsoft Excel, and then that's just like that, a table. You have rows, you have column. The result of the select statement is called a result set. That is a list of rows, and each row consists of the same number of columns. So let's see for the following employees table in the sample database. We have 8 columns, which is employee numbers, last name, first name, extension, email, office code, repository, and job title, and maybe more. You can add, we can see more and many rows, a lot of rows in that database sample. Now to use a select all column, you can use the all or the star. So this is like the wildcard, and you can use this to represent to select all. Now let's look at the syntax for the select statement, just like this one. So we can write select last name, and then first name, and then job title. Here are the column names, and then from employees, and employees is the table names. So for this syntax, for this statement, we are going to get all of the row, but with only 3 columns. If we see the columns, this is the column examples. So the row and are still not just like this one, so there's more than this. And for the previous select statement, we are going to get the last name and first name and the job title. So these 3 columns, and the result will be like this. This is the tables in the employee tables, and this is the select result, the result set. Now in the select itself, we can add a select distinct clause. So we can add a new clause, a new statement, a new syntax, which is distinct. The use of distinct is to avoid duplicate rows. So if we have like the same value of the rows, and then if we use this thing, the one that on the result set will be only one of the same value. Let's look at a simple example of using the distinct clause to select the unique last name of employees from employees table. So we want to find a unique last name, because usually maybe in Indonesia or maybe in other countries, the last name is very common. Maybe in Japan or in Korea, the last name is very common, and we want to find a unique last name. We can do this statement. So this one is select, not elect. So something wrong with this statement. So select last name, only last name from employees ordered by last name. So we want to order the name like this. So this is without the distinct clause, and this is the one with distinct. So as we can see here, the result is that Bondur came twice, Firly came twice. But if we use this thing and then Bondur came out just once, and Firly is also just once. So these are the distinct clause. The second one that we are going to talk about is insert. So the insert statement will insert one or more rows into a table. The following illustrates the syntax of the insert statement. As we can see here, we see the insert into table, and then the C1, C2 is the column, and then it followed by values with V1, V2, and so on. In this syntax, first we specify the table name and a list of comma separated column inside parenthesis after the insert into clause. So the table is the table name, and then the inside the parenthesis, the bracket, the parenthesis is the columns. So in that table there may consist 8 columns, but if you just want to insert maybe 8 columns, then on the column clause over here we define which 8 columns that we want to fill in. And then the values just also the same, just like the columns are comma separated list of values corresponding the columns inside the parentheses following the values keyword. So here V1 is inserted into C1, V2 inserted into C2, and so on. To add multiple rows, you need to follow this syntax. So a different rows are separated by a different parenthesis, which each parenthesis are separated by a comma, just like this one. So over here we see n number of rows. Yeah. So let's make an example. Here we see we create a table, and then we want to insert just the title and the priority. So we see here that the column is just not just 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 column, but we just only insert in this table task just in 2 columns, and the values is learn MySQL insert statement, and the priority is 1. The MySQL will return this following statement, following message as a feedback, so that we know that the one row is affected. There is something going on. Then we can verify the insert by select the data from the tables. So we see here the task ID is auto increment. So without inserting anything, it will have an increment number. We insert the title and the priority. Other column are set null. Now, sorry. Okay, let's continue. If you want to insert using a default value, we already know from previous videos that there are some default values, and to insert a default value into a column there are two ways as follow. The first is to ignore both column name and its value in the insert statement. So we ignore the column name, which is just not doing anything on the column. The second one is we specify the column name into the insert into clause. So over here, and use default keyword in the value clause, just like this one. So this is the second way. We put the priority into default with default keyword. And this is for inserting multiple rows, just like the syntax, the statement before. We differentiate between each row with comma, and each row are separated by parentheses and comma. The third one, which is update. So the update statement will update existing data in a table or changes column values of a single row or a group of rows, all rows in a table. So it can be used for a lot of tasks. The following illustrate the syntax of MySQL update statement. So we see here update, and then there is low priority and ignore. This on the box bracket here are optional. And then we put table name, and then we set the column name with some expression, column name expression, and so on. Usually the update will be followed by a condition, so where something is happening. Let's see the example. Here are the explanation for this one. Yeah, the MySQL supports two modifiers in the update statement. The first one is low priority, which is a modifier to instruct the update statement to delay the update until there is no connection reading data from the table. So it may be we have some clash. There is some user wants to read it, so they select the number, select the table, and some user wants to update it. If the update is low priority, and then the system will finish all of the select first, and when there is no more select happening, and then the update will be happen. So that's the low priority modifier. The second one is the ignore modifiers enables the update statement to continue updating rows even if errors occur. So if we learn in database management system, we have some connection between one table to another table. If we add or if we delete or we change even the name of in one table, but it usually be used in another table as a reference, as a foreign key, primary key, things of that, there will be some errors. And if we want to use this ignore, and then this error will be just be ignored, the update will be continuous anyway. However, the rows that cause errors, such as duplicate key conflicts, are not updated. So we ignore the update process, we ignore the error, so we continue the update process. However, the one that gives an error are still not updated. So because on the program, if we do not state the ignore like this, if we find one error and then all of the subsequent after after that error, all of the process are shut down. So we did not do any update after that. But if we use ignore, even if we found an error halfway, the error will just be ignored, and then another process will just go right on. So the update process will just go continue. However, the one that's giving an error itself is not being updated. Here are the examples. We are having the examples to give just a single column. In this example, we're going to update email of Mary Patterson to the new email marypatterson@classicmodelscars.com. Here are the syntax. Update to the table's employees. We set the emails of Mary Patterson with where the employee number is 1056. So we only change, we only modify, we only update the email value of the employee number who has the number 1056. If there is only one person who has the employee numbers 1056, and then just one row are affected. But if there are multiples, and then multiple rows are affected. So before, we see here that the email is M Patterson, and then the after being updated, it was changed to email Mary.Patterson. So we see here by using select. If you want to update multiple columns, well, just differentiate each column using the comma, just like this one. And that's it. That's the update. Lastly, what that we're going to talk in this video is delete. So to delete data from a table, we use the MySQL delete statement, just like the following. So we see here, delete from the table name where some condition happening. So we didn't specify a certain column. We just specify the table name. So first we specify the table name which data to be deleted, and then the second one we use the condition of which row to delete in the where clause. So the delete clause statement are deleting all of the column in some rows. So all part of the row in one row, all of this value are being deleted. So it doesn't just delete half of the row. And if the row matches the condition, then it will be deleted. It may be one, it may be more, or maybe it may be none. Besides deleting data from a table, the delete statement returns a number of rows deleted. So just for a confirmation, feedback from the system. Now we will use the employees table for the demonstration. Suppose you want to delete employees whose the office number are 4, and then you use the delete statement with where clause as shown as in the following query. So delete from tables employees where the office number, the office code is 4. For example, if you want to delete all of the employees because the office number 4 are closed. Then if we just want to delete all of the rows from the employee data, we can just use the delete from table, and that's it, without the where clause. It will delete all of the rows in that table, in the employees table. We also have some limit clause. So this limit clause is to limit the numbers of rows that's being deleted. Note that the order of the rows in table is unspecified. Therefore, when you want to use the limit clause, you should always be using the order by clause. So you need to order the table first, and then you delete some of the row. Because if we didn't order by, if we didn't sort the tables, we didn't know which row is being deleted when we limit that. But if we use order by, for example, if you want to delete the highest pay of the employee, for example, then the 5 highest pay are being deleted, and then we can just order by the fee, and then we limit 5, and then we delete all of the 5. Here are the examples. The customer, we want to order by customer name, then limit 10, and then this one will limit the first 10 customer who have the first alphabet. So maybe Abdullah, Andy, and others, and any others as Agus and things like that. Similarly, the following delete statement: select customers in France and sort them by credit limit in from low to high, and deletes the first 5 customers. So this is just another example of delete using the where, order by, and limit. And that is for this video. We already talked about the data manipulation language, which is select, insert, update, and delete. Hopefully these videos help you throughout the database class, and see you on the next video. Bye.